We're just super excited to be here. I want to reiterate, I know you on Facebook are going to get this twice, but for those of you on Zoom, welcome. Thanks for being here. And we just want to reiterate that we want to say congratulations and that we're so proud of everyone who's been working so hard on this 53 challenge and staying consistent, staying the course, all the people on the leaderboards and all the people trying to get on the leaderboards. And we're also really proud and want to say welcome to anybody new who's decided to join us in quarter 3 for this 53 challenge. So we're at week number 2 with our incredible 53 challenge here in quarter 3. One of the things that makes this quarter special is we're going to have our very special event in the middle of it. So that's exciting. So tonight we're going to be talking about establishing a possibilities list and consistently adding to it. This is really the foundation of starting an unfranchised business. And if you're on the line, you've been with us for a while and you want to click the big reset button or restart button, this is a perfect opportunity to do just that. Put some rocket fuel on your existing journey. So just to give you a heads up, I'm going to be doing a good chunk of the first half, and then Dr. D is going to be really leading the way on the second half. So don't think I'm leaving her out or anything. Okay. So we're in week number 2, as I said. So week 3, you definitely do not want to miss this one. Exposing the business plan, that's next Wednesday. So if you are feeling like you need a little refresher on that, or you're afraid to do it, definitely get on that one as well. So anytime someone starts a business, I think what's really important is to build a database. And isn't that true? Like for those of you who are really stepping into this 21st century in social media, it's like build a following. Well, what's a following? A following is a database, right? And so is any business you would begin. Amazon has a database. Your chiropractor has a database. We all need to be creating that database when we come on board or refreshing it, which is why we're always adding names to the list. So I want everybody to grab a pen and paper. Go ahead and do that now, please, because we're going to have a little exercise here, a little jogger, and get the cobwebs cleared and start thinking of some people you may not have thought of already that you can add to the database. What's really important about this aspect is that you're not judging these people. We're not determining, your database is not who you think is going to be great at the business and who you think wants to become a customer. No. Your database is everyone you know and know of. You may or may not ever contact them about the business, but they need to go into the database. And the average person has anywhere from 250 to 300 people in their database. And I can guarantee you that most UFOs make the mistake of not building that database. So we're going to add to your names list right here, right now. So I hope you grab that pen and paper because I want you to think of your friends right now. Chances are a good ton of them went onto your names list in the beginning, but I want you to think about friends right now that you could reconnect with. Yep. Right? Who are your friends in college? Who are your friends, in the last apartment building you lived at? Just think of people that you could reconnect with from a friend standpoint, because now it's so easy to find people. Right? You can find anybody on Facebook, right, Dr. D, or Instagram. It's so easy to reconnect and be like, oh my gosh, it's been years. How have you been doing? That kind of thing. And that might be true. You might have be keeping quote unquote in touch with some people from your past, but you actually haven't messaged them in a long time or spoke with them in a long time. So I want you to put those people on the list right now. When you're building your database, I always like to do it in what's called COIs. And so you'll see there on the left bottom, building your database in COIs. What that means is circles of influence. So I want you to think of people in tribes. So you have your family, right? But that's actually, there's multiple tribes within that. There's your mom's side of the family. There's your dad's side of the family, right? 2 separate circles of influence right there. But you also have your spouses, if you're married, right? You have their dad's side and their mom's side. So in their family, you actually have 4 potentially circles of influence. So write down a header and say mom's side and write everybody. You may not contact cousin Leslie. That's fine, but you got to go down there, okay? She got to be on the list. You have your neighbors, not just now, but your previous neighbors. Some of my closest friends were, my neighbor in Texas, and who I used to, live across the alley from. Who are people that you could reconnect with from high school, from college? Who were your classmates? Who were your faculty? So I was kind of one of those kids that was a little bit nerdy. I was on the honor roll. I was on the organizational committees, and I was on the first name basis with a lot of the teachers because I could walk right into the teacher's lounge, and I'd be like, hey, Dave, it was Dave Knightham. He's my grade 8 teacher. And I know that if I called Dave Knightham today, he would know who I was.
Happiness, livelihood, quality of life depended on me picking up this phone, right? That's a reframing that needs to happen on a more regular basis, because we are also incredibly influential in all of those areas that you just mentioned.
Absolutely. So you got a circle of influence if you're part of a church community. You have a circle of influence in your professional context. Who's your chiropractor? Who's your dentist? Who's your lawyer? Who's your landscaper? Who's your plumber? Who is your lawyer? Who is your accountant? These are your professional contacts, right? Are you part of an organization or an association? Write that down right now, because guess what? That's a circle of influence, and you can fill that in later under the header. Write down if you've belonged to anything like that in the past, and keep in touch with any of those people or can reconnect with them. I'm a big fan of joining groups where you're doing activities you already love. So I used to do a lot of photography. I took a photography class. Perfect. I have an immediate rapport with everybody around me because we all love photography, right? And so can I reconnect with some of those people? If it's yoga, if it's whatever, right? Who are your work colleagues? That's another circle of influence, but not just now, your previous ones. Can you reconnect with any of your previous work colleagues? And then of course, our social media accounts. So I have a feeling that if those of you were following instructions, grabbed a pen and paper, chances are you just added some names to your list, going through this, thinking of people in this way, knowing you may or may not have to contact them, but they need to go on the database. If you added some names, comment in to the chat. Let us know if you wrote some names down that you'd previous left off, or maybe for the first time created this. Yay, Carmen. I mean, Carmen, you are the networking queen. Tasha, yes.
Yes.
Pamela, Patty, nice work. Jackie and Lisa and Juliet and Jenna. Oh my goodness, way to go, Jessica and Bobby.
Way to go, Bobby.
Yep, that's awesome. So definitely keep building this to, continue to build your database. Every business is constantly building their database. And so that is kind of our part-time job, you guys, is to be making new friends. And that's what prospecting is. It's just making new friends. It's listening and caring about people without an agenda. It's adding names to your list without an agenda. It's not recruiting. And I think that's where a lot of UFOs struggle, because they go one way or the other. And I think you know where I'm going with this, Dee. They're either like undercover, unfranchised owners and they talk to no one, right? They're like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to, it's like suddenly just meeting people is weird and you don't know what to say. And it's like, well, no, that's why we're here today. We're going to do a little training on that. And then the other is you get so excited and you're so jazzed that you got to tell everybody about this because you're on the top of the mountain going, I got the bakery, right? I've got, and you're overdoing it and you're asking for marriage when you haven't even had a first date. Right. And so understand that when you're out and about and you're meeting new people, whether you're networking purposefully or you're just out and about meeting new people, try to just come at it like, just be yourself, right? Be yourself, Melanie. I always have to give myself pep talks because I am secretly an introvert. And so I know I've told many of you that over the years now that I have been the director of TLS, but I know most of you don't believe me, but it's true. And so anytime I go into a social arena, I have to kind of give myself a pep talk and be like, you're clever, you're funny, you can make small talk,
So, for sure.
And so I know that if I can build this business, that you guys can build this business because, I was like the shyest person growing up. So And the truth is there's a secret, and that secret is there's more people out there that you don't know than you do know. Which means, guess what? You got to make a point of meeting people. So now I'm the person that literally, Maria, thanks for participating. I'm literally that person now that, like, when my neighbors, I move a lot, just ask anybody who knows me. So we're always moving. And I'm the person that like runs across the street and be like, hey, I'm Melanie, I'm your neighbor, you know, I haven't met you yet. And that was never me prior. And I've built the muscle to meet new people. And all I have this motto is just say hi, Melanie. Just say hi. All you have to do is say hello. Usually people will take it from there. You know,
it's funny. I mean, that's exactly right. They say hello back, right? And I loved it. Melanie made this point about we are our beautiful selves, right? Just do you. And yet we find that when we go out and we are intentionally looking to support our business, expand our influence. Again, I want to use that word. We find that we're supposed to fit into a mold, and sometimes we're not really comfortable with that. We think there's a right way to do it. And I'm just going to encourage everybody to just do you.
Mm-hmm. And your part-time job is to collect new names. Don't hand out business cards, collect them. That way you are the one in charge. And one of the things when you're meeting new people is like, hey, what do you do? That's almost the first question before, like, what's your name? If you're not introduced, you know, have you ever been on a plane and you get in these like big life conversations with somebody and then the plane lands and you're like, oh, by the way, my name's Melanie, you know, meanwhile, you've like all poured each other's heart out, you know, and it's amazing how one of the first questions that happens when you meet people is, what do you do? Because it is so much a part of our identity. And so for new unfranchised owners who are not used to saying I'm an unfranchised owner, is to say like, hey, I'm a teacher, but what I'm really focusing on is, you know, my internet-based business I just started. Right. I'm an accountant, but what I'm really focusing on is, and it could be a division specific, right? Like my web center consulting business, or my, you know, TLS weight loss coaching business, or my, you know, Nutrametrics, you know, healthcare, you know, whatever the division specific answer is, that's what you say you're focused on or you're excited about. So that the easiest thing to come out of your mouth is what has been coming out of your mouth for maybe 2 years, 20 years, whatever, is just, hey, and what I'm really focusing on right now is my brand new business. I've just started, and create a little curiosity. Don't even tell them what it is, right? And anytime you create a little curiosity, what happens where people are like, oh, you know, they're going to ask you another question. In some cases, you may even have an opportunity to share why you started your business, which should really not be, you know, a life story. Because again, when prospecting, you really want to be more focused on asking them questions and listening to the answers, keeping yours nice and short and intriguing. So again, a very short but poignant testimonial of the real reason you started your business. So that could be 1 to 2 sentences. Like, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of you know, the, you know, whatever the sick and tired was. And I was, you know, came across a different way of doing things, you know, boom, done, you know, and people can relate to that. They can relate to the problem, right? Pain, pleasure. Keep it real simple, you guys. When you keep it simple, they get to do most of the talking. And that's the most important thing about prospecting, so that you're creating that rapport and that friendship. And chances are, if this is all going well, you're going to get their interest, in which case I always like to take it away. I'm not like one to like draw it out on a napkin like Big Al, but he can get away with that. He can do whatever he wants. You know, he is the man. But I'm one that likes to leave them wanting more. And so I get their information and, oh my goodness, you're asking great questions, Dee. I can't explain it all now. It's actually about a 30 to 45 minute appointment. And I like to take it away. May or may not be for you. Right. I loved it. That's straight from JR. I've always loved it. I've always loved to take away the pressure from people, so they don't feel like they are being pressured into anything or should do something or would let me down if they said no to it at the end, you know. And so at the very least, you'd be helping me out anyway, Dee, because I bet you know some people I could help and partner with. Do you have a card? Are you on Facebook? I'll touch base tomorrow about setting up an appointment. Right. And that, I love doing that. That's how I love to do it. It's worked for me.
That's wonderful, Mel, because a lot of people right now were like, She said, don't give out my card, collect cards. How do you do that? You don't just tap people on the shoulder and say, give me your card. What do you do? I'd like to have your card. And I think a lot of us have different ways that we do this. In the professional channel with Nutrimetrics, I handle that a different way, but I love how simple what you just did was, right? Knowing the right people, right? Can I have your card? Because what we're going to do is get something set up. Again, took the pressure off of them and made it so organic to get their information. I love that.
Yeah. My favorite is, are you on Facebook? Because then you friend them right there. And within 24 hours, I'm messaging them saying, it was so nice to meet you. I really enjoyed our conversation. So here's what's true. As an unfranchised owner, you want to be a professional. You want to become a professional, and practice doesn't make perfect. There's no such thing as perfect, but practice does make a professional. And so I highly recommend that you write out, what do you do that works for you? And go ahead, if you're like a veteran or you know what you do answer is, go ahead and write it into the chat right now. It helps some people out, I promise. You might have your answer to what is it. If you don't, first version, I mean, version 1 is better than version none, perfectionists. So just write it down. And then your 1 to 2 sentence, or 4 sentence why. And then just practice it. Practice it with your team. Practice it with your spouse, practice it with your teddy bears, practice it with your dogs. Just say it out loud, and you're going to perfect it just by saying it out loud, and practicing it, so that you're not practicing on real people. I mean, I'm like the one, that flubbed up a lot in front of people, because I'm socially awkward because I'm an introvert. And so practice is very, very important. And then even on the other spectrum where you're an extrovert, right? Chances are you're prone to saying too much. You're prone to talking too much, in which case this is really important for you to practice, because that way you can keep it succinct, you can keep it powerful and short, and create that curiosity. Now we want to create new people coming into our lives. And I know the last few years it's made that tough to do. That's why social media is so important. Now that we're opening up, it's so beautiful to be meeting people in the flesh. But Facebook truly, you guys, is God's gift to our business. It really minimizes the time to build rapport, in the sense that you can join interest groups, you can build your names list, you can find, Facebook literally goes, people you may know. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's like literally like you could just be like, add friend, add friend, add friend, and then send them all a message, right? Which is amazing. It's literally networking for you. There's no excuses, literally none. And one of the things I want to say about networking on social media is that your first goal should really just be to post daily. And that should be from a personal standpoint. I struggle with this. This is something that I have had to overcome. Because I'm not a public person, and I also am like, what am I going to post about? Like, who cares? Like, who cares about my life, right? Like, I don't know. I just have this issue, and so it's something that I have overcome. And if anybody feels the same way, just know that it doesn't have to be anything clever or special or anything like that. But definitely, they need to see your face and they need to see your name in order for you to build that relationship. So you need to be popping up in their news feed. All right. They just need to see your mug, y'all. So then once you're like got that habit of posting daily, now you can insert product or business related posts. And with that, I'm going to say, don't sell, share. And so here's the thing. What I mean by is, like, if you're new to the business and you're not necessarily, like, if you're doing health and nutrition or TLS and you don't have a health background, just share as if you're a happy customer. Like, hey, I'm doing, the TLS program and I've already lost 5 pounds and I'm super excited. And you're just a happy customer. They don't need to know it's your business yet. That's not pertinent information yet. It will be later, but not now. You don't have to be saying, and now you can buy these weight loss products for me. Link, right? Like it's all about creating consistency that creates trust. And so I went 3 months without any comments, any likes, crickets for 3 months when I started posting regularly. And then I started getting messages, and then I started getting new customers. And from those customers, I started sponsoring people. And this was years ago. I was a social media holdout, but now it's an effective source, but it's going to take time, y'all, especially if you're not really utilizing it on the get-go. Don't post one thing and then be like, it didn't work. Like, yeah, nothing in marketing works just once. You got to think of things in threes, messages in threes. All right. Introduce it, remind, last chance. I always try to, like, if I'm going to do any message, any kind of thing, I'm thinking of like 3 posts in a week or 3 posts in 9 days. That's going to be like tickle their interest. Because the truth is that you have all done this, right? You have all had been on scrolling through the Facebook feed or whatever, and you saw something interesting, but you were in the grocery line and it was your turn and you're like, I'll get back to that later. But guess what happened? You didn't, and you forgot about it. That's what happens to all your people. So you can't post about isotonics once or TLS once and expect things to work. You've got to keep putting that in front of them. So again, 80% personal and positive, 20% business, sharing, not selling, and you're going to create those leads coming to you. Okay. It's proven, it works. And it just means consistency and starting on that. Now, as far as getting together in person, Dee's gonna take us from here, you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Because we do want to then move into that next space. One of the things that Melanie shared was how important Facebook, social media can be, how reconnecting with people can be a super powerful thing to do, right? And so we definitely can say it's been a while since we talked. I've been following you on Facebook and I'm loving, like some of the stuff that I'm seeing there, whether it's the kids, whether it's an award that they've received, whether it's an accomplishment, definitely let them know that they got noticed. And you would love, right, if this is someone that that this is just something that you would love to meet up with them. Again, I think it's important for us to kind of start with what feels a little bit more like the easy button, right? That rekindling, that reconnecting, that thing, Melanie, everyone, that just doesn't feel uncomfortable, because we already have an organic connection to some of these people. But much like Melanie was saying, it starts with a hello, right? Because the natural thing to do in polite company is to say hello back. But we also find in polite or not so polite company that people love to talk about themselves. So go ahead and do exactly what we talked about here, where you may compliment them on something. Make sure it's sincere. Like we often will say, oh, I love those shoes. But if you're not a shoe person and you can't come back or banter with that, right, you may want to choose something else. Now, I've got a personal favorite, especially when it comes to meeting people that I'm not rekindling with, that I'm not reconnecting with. Beyond the hi, the compliment, because I might wear colorful shoes, could be something about shoes. But I like, Melanie, to pick on something that I believe that an individual may have a small insecurity about, right? We'll pick and let them know you were killing it over there with that gray hair, right? Or the brightness of someone's eyes, right? Or the size of someone's smile, right? It's really interesting how quickly you can light up someone's face by identifying, a unique personal style, right? So you don't have to be the shoe person or that kind of thing, but it could be identifying somebody's unique style and just acknowledging like how much you appreciate how they are bringing it, how they are killing it, right? And now all of a sudden we're friends, right? I've shortened the space between me and them because I'm already showing them that they are someone that I like. And maybe some of my enthusiasm for liking their style or their vibe is that they now understand that I'm also someone that they might like. And people love to spend time with people that they like, right? And so those are some of the things that I like to do. And that's when we figure out exactly who we are looking for. Because Melanie, I
Right,
think
for
one
sure.
of, and everyone, I think one of the bigger things that we run into is that people think, much like you said, you're either undercover or you're out there and, you know, you're not going to put your light under a bushel. But we often think, unfortunately, that we need to have an answer for every situation. I might run into this type of person, this type of person, this type of person. I think it's worthwhile for you to kind of build your avatar. Who exactly am I looking for? What is their age demographic? What might their interests be? Are those also my interests, right? Because as I'm creating a customer avatar, Melanie and everyone, I'm also creating an identity for who I'm, not just who I'm looking for, but also who I'm going to, as you said, right? That practice makes professional, how I'm going to speak to that person. And from there, I'm going to kind of invent my own story of what is it, why I do what I do, because I know who I'm speaking to. I'm not trying to be someone to everyone. And that's where business networking can be so powerful. You know, Melanie had mentioned, you know, the importance of letting another person speak, and the extroverts, right, don't always let that happen. I've got so much that I want to share, so much that I want you to know, right? So one of the things that you can do if you're like that is you can often ask yourself, you know, what a lot of people want to hear, which is what's in it for me. And I have found that that's one of the things that I can do by saying small, concise, right? As Melanie said, be intriguing, some benefit that I have found in something that I'm doing today, some joy or reward that I have found in something I'm doing today, does encourage people to ask more. So I can start to learn what more about them and share with them what's in it for them.
Yeah.
I'll often ask people from a business networking standpoint, and you guys, the list is pretty long for what we can do from a business networking standpoint, right? We can be a part of BNI groups, but your first step to being successful in a BNI group is to know a little bit more about what it is that you do. Be comfortable with the what you do, why you do it, and that little 2-minute commercial. In many cases with the BNI group, right, it's going to be about a 30-second commercial. So you definitely want to let them know that you're a part of, as Melanie said, like the easy button is that you're a part of a product brokerage company, right? But then you want to say something unique about yourself. Something unique about that product brokerage company, even that it offers professionals. This is what I always like to say, that it offers professionals, healthcare professionals and skincare professionals, right? Access to some of the most well-researched ingredients in the health professional marketplace. And then I stop, right? Because it's just like Melanie said, you want to be intriguing, you want to be concise. More importantly, you want them to ask for more. Exactly what is it in that health professional space? What do you mean some of the most innovative ingredients? And that allows me to say, well, I found success, source of income. And the idea there is you're speaking to what's in it for them by having a conversation about what it is that really lights you up. And this is where I find like extroverts can really shine, because we can find that reward with each other by sharing what we're passionate about, listening for what other people are passionate about. So there's BNI groups, the meetup groups. Melanie had mentioned your church community. You obviously share interests, but I think many times we're overlooking the fact in these groups that we may already be a part of, that we're overlooking that we already share interests, which means sometimes my perfect avatar is a lot like me. Sometimes my perfect avatar is the people that like to go places that I go. And for that reason, they're often going to be interested in things outside of that space that I see. Or as Melanie pointed out, we could identify their own circle of influence. It can start with something like Facebook, right? Sharing in interest groups. What groups are you a part of? More importantly, you guys, from a call to action standpoint, what groups are you going to join after tonight's webinar? Right? What are you going to do to say, well, I'll try that out? Shoot, you guys, these people may never see you again, right? What are you willing to try? Your quality of life depended on it. Would you call Melanie's high school teacher? Right? Bet you would. I bet you would.
Bet you would. I love this because the thing that I love about the divisions, it does really allow you to create a professional avatar in your own business for you, meaning like you're a Nutrimetrics consultant or your Motives beauty advisor or your TLS weight loss coach or you're a web center consultant or you're a shop financial representative. These kinds of identities allow you to go into these local chambers of commerce, into these BNI groups, into these meetup groups, into Facebook groups, into gyms, fitness centers, wellness centers, and say, hey, I'd love to set up a referral network. This is what I bring to the table. I'd like to learn about what you bring to the table. And so a lot of times our divisions are a great way to create an identity within the business that opens these doors to business networking and referral networking, because you are the expert in such and such, whether it's shop financial, Motives beauty, TLS, like it just makes this business so simple because you have something that people really understand immediately, right? There's no explaining I'm a TLS weight loss coach, right? That there's no explaining needed there. Right?
Exactly.
So,
Well, and one thing I want to say is like to take away from this, and that's this idea of that building relationships, right? It's not just keeping in touch on Facebook, but it's also really acknowledging the value in another person. It's, the way we create, maintain, not just build relationships, but the way that we create those relationships is to acknowledge the other person's excitement for something, right? I love to be able to say, it sounds like you love what you do. Like I didn't hear you one time say you have to do. I heard you say things like, I get to do. I work, Melanie, with all kinds of people just like that. They're super excited about what they get to do with their day. Most of them are smiling, and I absolutely love it. I spend time with smiling people every day. Again, what am I doing? We're creating a space where people like other people that are liked. We're creating a space where people want to be like people that are liked. And that is one of the ways that you can build relationships, by acknowledging the light in other people, what you saw in them, right? And how much you enjoy that you get to, right? Be a part of this conversation, that you get to learn something new about them. And that's what is one of the reasons, quite frankly, that I think so many of us are drawn to success, but also just drawn to very strong friendships in Market America, is because we work with all kinds of people, and they tend to be smiling all day long, right? Melanie had mentioned the point isn't to sell to the groups that you've built with the BNI or a Facebook group, right? But more to share about your experiences, the things that you have created, your experiences, because that's something that people relate to. It's true, you guys, people don't always relate to salesmanship. They don't relate to that sense of going out, collecting names, building the database, learning, about product ingredients or about skincare ingredients. What they love is,
I feel like the goal should be to get invited to their barbecue.
I love it.
Be that person. And I think Dee brings up such a valuable point of like, talk about them, find the light in them, ask questions of them. And that's the main thing that we're doing as we're building relationship. And I think I always like to come back at like what happens on the opposite spectrum, what I tend to see in the industry, in all professional industries, is people go into these networking experiences and then they just go out and give a ton of unsolicited advice without building that relationship. And nobody likes unsolicited advice. Right? So it's like, I know that we know that OPC3 is amazing and everybody needs it. Right? I know that we all know that Lumiere de Vie lift up cream is like the best thing since sliced bread. I know that we all know that if you work the TLS program, you're going to feel better than ever. And you're going to look better than ever, right? We all know these things. And one of the things that I think we make a mistake of when we are out talking with people and networking is somebody makes one little first complaint, right? And because people complain, right? Or they talk about a struggle or, that kind of thing. And we jump into that like, whoa, like I've got something for you and I can help you. And, I get it was like great intentions, right? Just beautiful, heartfelt help you connections. But the thing is that you haven't earned the right to give them advice.
Or
and
trust.
So,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You need to earn the right to suggest something. So listen, like ask questions like, oh, how long have you been dealing with that, Dee? How long, what have you all tried? Oh my goodness.
That's exactly it. What have you tried? What is working for you, right?
Yeah. Oh, that sounds horrible, right? Like, tell me more. So, I mean, if you're doing that, then at the end of that 10-minute conversation, you go, you know what? I might have something to help you with that. Hey, are you on Facebook? Do you have a card? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a process. And I think Dee is just doing a great job of saying, like, make it about them. And when you do, and the time comes to suggest something or to take that next step, that relationship is built.
The relationship is built, and Melanie just did a great job with that transition to, are you on Facebook? Can I get your card? Because what she did right before she asked if you're on Facebook is said, I might have something for you, which means to them now, because of the conversation that you just had about that sounds awful, tell me more. What have you done that's worked in the past? What are you currently trying to do? How long has that been going on? Right? And then says, I have something for you. Are you on Facebook? No one thought, oh, she's going to sell something to me. She invested time, right? She invested interest and caring, and she made sure that they knew that there was something in it for them. I might have something for you, right? Not, I own my own product brokerage company, right? Not, here's my online store, but again, connecting the dots and building relationships.
For sure.
Now you brought this up, right? That we have to overcome obstacles. Someone says, oh, I posted one time on Facebook and it didn't work. This doesn't work, right? Or this happened to me just the other day. Someone took a prime sleep. And after one day of taking it, said, nope, it doesn't work. And I said, well, that's not really how anything works, right? Because, it's not Mike Tyson. He didn't knock you out. So that works every time. But the idea here is that sometimes that cripples people. And I think the way that we make sure that we don't get crippled by those types of obstacles, right, or overcoming fears of a fear of what might happen, is to first recognize, everybody, that it's going to happen. It's natural to not hit a home run. It is natural to just completely fall over your words. My suggestion, you guys have seen probably me do it, right? I don't even know whose voice that was, right? I just simply try to separate it, right, with a joke, with something funny, right? The best that I can do, because now we're both laughing. It's no longer awkward, right? If I make a mistake, I make fun of myself. I don't know what you do, Melanie, but I just make sure that we're both laughing by the end of this.
Absolutely.
Right. And so when we meet our own expectations, and what I mean by that is that we expect to do the very best we're going to do today, right? And we recognize that there will be obstacles, right? That we don't end up being crippled by things like, I don't know enough. What if this person happens? What if I don't have an answer for every type of situation that gets in front of me? And then because we say, you know what, I think I'm just going to start my day happy today. I think I'm just going to see if there's anyone that I can help today, right? If we come up with a couple of great ways that just answer some of the concerns we're most concerned with, right? When someone says, can you guarantee it's going to work? I say, let's see how you respond, right? When someone says, what can I expect? What can I expect? I pick tangibles that they can see pretty quickly on. Like you may notice less joint discomfort. You may have a better night's sleep. You may notice more energy throughout the day. I'm personally excited to hear what you think and how you feel, right? So I want to make sure that I'm following up. So I'm doing that, asking for permission again to do what? To follow up and build that relationship. It doesn't matter what we face in the day. If we can recognize that we're doing our very best, but also manage our own expectations and say, you know what, mistakes are going to happen. Flubs are going to happen. I just want to make sure I walk away with it laughing.
For sure. And when it comes to prospecting, and adding names to our list, it can be, those fears can be really real of like, what will people think of me? What if I don't know the answer? All of these things can be very, very normal. And every single person who's ever built a successful and franchise business has had to overcome them.
Yeah.
And some of you extroverts, you're not going to have those fears when it comes to this. You're going to have different fears in different areas of the business, right? And so just know that 100% of you are going to have to overcome some sort of uncomfortability, some sort of obstacle of fear or skill set that is going to, maybe rock your foundation a little bit, or just be like, oh, do I have what it takes? Or, that kind of thing. And the truth is you do, or you wouldn't have found this business, or it wouldn't have found you. And that, we can't become better and we can't create more if we're not willing to become more.
I love that. I absolutely love that. You can't, oh my gosh, I just love that. We can't expect to be better unless we try to be better, you guys. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now now what? That's the big question that comes up. I've got their card, right? Melanie's managed to make sure that she knows if they're on Facebook. You've brought it up. I might have something for you. So you want to make sure that you're following up and then you're not letting too much time pass. The same thing that happens when Melanie was talking about scrolling and you think you're going to get back to it, right? Recognize that might be you and you want to set a plan in action, right? You want to make sure that you say, this is something I'm going to dedicate. Right then when you're leaving, dedicate that time. When are you going to follow up? What are you going to follow up with? We find that some of the easiest ways to follow up, to kind of overcome the obstacles of, I haven't done this in a while, or I haven't done this ever, right? Is, I don't know what the steps are to take. Then follow the steps that are laid out for you. The Unfranchised Marketing app is one of the more successful ways that we're going to do just that. We're going to follow up and answer the question, what's next? This may be exactly where we put their information. Maybe at this time, because we've gotten their card, we have found them on Facebook, we've built that relationship, right? We can now put them in as one of our contacts into our Unfranchised Marketing app and share something with them. One of the easiest things to do, right, is to go ahead and get into your Unfranchised Marketing app today, right this second. I want you to look on your Unfranchised Marketing app, and I want you to identify one of your favorites, right? Up here, it's going to come up with my media or my quizzes and my questionnaires. I can move my favorite carousel here. Your call to action right now is to pick one of these PDFs that is your favorite, and then to dedicate or commit to yourself that you're going to send that out to a new customer this week, right? By the end of this week, because we're going to put ourselves on the leaderboard, we're going to create and start talking, having a relationship with a new customer or share something new with a customer that we already have. It does it for you. The fortune is built in the follow-up, and that's why we built the Unfranchised Marketing app the way that we did. Automatic drip messaging that goes to your customer. Receives notification. You receive notification. They receive notification that they've gotten something from you. You receive notification that they've opened it, they've watched it, they've downloaded it, right? But you also are getting regular follow-up messages say it's time to reach out to Melanie. It's time to to get her more information. The next thing that you want to do after you've shared maybe the flyer of which sample is right for you, which one are you interested in, is to make sure now that you let them know that you're going to send them a sample. They've maintained interest, they've got some good information. Go ahead, let's get you that, let's get you a sample. This is an all-in-one mail-in sample. We have 7 different samples. So whether it's skincare, sleep, digestive health, right? Weight loss with our amazing TLS B6 product, neuro focus, or of course, just starting with the basics, which is what is the easy button for everyone. Get started with the daily essentials. The best part of all of this is you're sharing your contact information with them. They've gotten a little bit of light from you because you've shared this sample with them. People like to try before they buy. They want to know that you'll invest in them, time, interest, right? And in this case, a sample. It's a way to continue to build that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. People love getting freebies. So as far as call to actions, obviously we're so excited about seeing you at the upcoming MAIC at our 30th year celebration. This is a screenshot from marketamerica.com. And if you go to upcoming events on the tab, it's got a whole landing page. It has all the information. This is an amazing page to send a prospect. So that is something
Yes.
you could do, or an existing team member or things like that. So definitely take advantage of how beautifully done this is, how much great information and amazing videos. We're just very excited about seeing you there in person because it is going to be off the hook. And Dr. D and I know because we're in the meetings.
Yes,
So,
it's going to be absolutely epic. It's going to be so much good information from the how-tos, the what, the building success, because we're going to hear from so many success stories and how it happened. I love telling people Market America is turning 30. So we can't wait to see you. That's August 11th through the 14th. Do not miss out on what is going to be a spectacular event, including an experience everywhere you go. It's not just through general sessions that there's going to be amazing experiences, but we are definitely creating an immersive weekend. Everywhere you go, you're going to be celebrating with us for our 30th.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. So as far as tonight's information on establishing your database, make sure that you fill in your circles of influence. So that's homework piece number 1. Fill in those circles of influence that you created here tonight. And number 2 is introverts specifically meet someone new this week. Go meet someone new, go say hi. All right. Number 3 is, I think everybody can commit to this, is what Dee asked you to do, which is go into your own franchise marketing app, grab something that you love, that you think would be perfect for so-and-so, and go ahead and share with them. If you are willing to do at least one of these, go ahead and write yes into the chat area. And that's your commitment to your action piece this week. And awesome. Love it. Way to go, Tammy and Jenna. And oh my goodness, they're all pouring in. Way to go, Joe and Estella. We're so glad you were all here. I am going to be launching coming up here in about 6 minutes. So don't go far. Hey, I love it. I'm seeing some familiar names. So fun. Okay. So I love it. So glad you guys are committing, but I'm going to be launching here in about 6 minutes. And I have got Coach Roach, Mark Roach joining me. He is a coordinator on his way to becoming an executive coordinator. And you have got to hear his story about convention and what it's done for him and his business. And then I have a brand new TLS certified trainer, Cherry Lowe, who is going to be joining us, and just the amount of success she's created on her team building event to event. You guys want to learn from both of these people. They're amazing. So join me in a few minutes. I'll see you there. Dr. D, always, as always, love, love, love being with you. Love you guys. Pleasure. Thanks so much for being here.
Good. Thanks, everyone.